Good morning, everyone. I'm Sally Handley. Welcome to Mystery Book Club. Today we are discussing John Hart's Down River, uh, which is a complete Southern novel that I think has such a Southern flavor to it that you can taste the bacon frying, right?
Yes.
So, does anyone want to start and tell us their impressions of the book or what you like best about it or not?
I really liked the book. I thought it was, it was kind of hard to put down at times. I like
Yeah.
the characters. Um, yeah, I thought it was very good.
Me
Me
too.
too. The pacing was just like nonstop.
Yeah.
He gave you a little
Right.
breather in between, but boy, it just went from one event to another. For me, and when I read other authors, I'm really studying their style, right? And his
Right.
style of writing impressed me so much. I'm going to read to you a quote that I copied because it to
Okay.
me it just was uh, it really is the example of the best of his writing. He said, "We left the detention center and stood in the wind that brought the smell of distant rain. Lightning flashed silent heat, and I went dark before the thunder rolled over us like cannon fire." Okay, that's a line that you just sit back and
Wow.
go, boy,
Yeah.
I wish I could write like that. Because it's like that is so much better than it was a dark and stormy night, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, because me too, I probably would have said yes, it was raining outside and like it was a heavy rain. But this is brilliant writing. And I don't know if anybody else has a passage to read that struck you as special, but I know that was one of my favorite aspects of the book.
What amazes me is you see this kind of writing, almost a poetic type of writing in some historic fiction. But in this book, with all the action he has blended and married together this beautiful writing style with the action. And there's some bad stuff going on in this book.
Yeah.
And he handles it. Usually if there's a lot of action and there's a lot of bad stuff and all this nonsense going on, it's usually fast paced and it's usually, very not abrupt, but it paces quite quickly.
Yeah.
And this one has slow moments where he kind of languishes in the words that he writes, and then other times when he picks up the pace. And he does it so well. I love it.
Yeah.
Like you, I wish I could write like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I found too, what makes it a truly Southern novel is this family saga, with these close-knit relationships of people, um, and like everything goes back generations, and there are so many family secrets, right? So many things that we don't know and learn along with the along with the narrator, right?
Right.
And there was that need to go home and for people to stay home. I think that was, even after everything he had been through, he still wanted to be home.
Right.
So,
Exactly. And when we learn his story early on. So he was accused of a crime.
but we didn't get whether or not he had done it.
Exactly. Which made me wonder a little bit in the beginning, is he going to be an unreliable narrator,
Narrator.
Narrator.
right?
Mhm.
But as it unfolds, well, I'll tell you the the one thing that made me really wonder if he was an unreliable narrator was when he didn't reveal what the young girl Oh, please remind me. See, because I wasn't the
Is
moderator, I
it
didn't take notes here. Uh, the young Grace.
Grace.
Okay.
Grace?
So when Grace kisses him and runs off, he he doesn't really tell us what transpired by from between them after that. And then of course there's always somebody who saw him, which catches him in a lie, and then and then we learn uh although he doesn't say, he never says what transpired between the two of them, but we learn it when he's thinking later on. So that moment I thought, well, geez, if he lied to everybody about that, why didn't and he didn't, and he lied to us the readers, or not maybe lied, but left the truth out until later. Can we really rely on him? Because you're right. There were moments when I thought, did he really kill that guy?
I also thought it was very interesting the fact that there was something that kept him from having a more intimate relationship with Grace. That
Oh,
it was almost like intuitive that he knew that that was not appropriate. I mean, it
Yeah.
turns out they're related, or brother and sister. So I thought that was very, very
I
interesting.
forgot that. I forgot that. Uh, yeah, it was kind of satisfying, but he always with her filled the role of big brother, right?
Hmm.
mhm.
Yeah.
You could tell that, yeah, all the while that was
But it
one
was it was
relationship that
that
was sacred.
it was that he was intuitive about
Yeah,
it. I thought
yeah,
that was
yeah. Now, what did you think of his stepmother?
I wouldn't want her as a stepmother.
Wow, talk about your wicked stepmothers. I mean, then when you find out
why
that
she
it
was
wasn't,
wicked.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't excuse what she did by any stretch of the imagination, right? Because she did it to protect her own daughter, but it was, and sent a man, or put him in danger of going to prison, or actually, getting a death sentence for murdering somebody. Because I never expected the truth to be as bad as it was. I thought she really thought she saw him. Did the rest of you think that?
No, I didn't think she really saw him. But
Uh,
I didn't know what was going on.
I didn't
yeah.
know
And
why she said it.
even as he um, or describes the relationship between the mother and the daughter, and the mother's telling him, "Stay out of this. You don't know what's been going on all this time." You still um, don't excuse her. I didn't excuse
No, no, not at all.
her.
And what about the stepsister?
Mm.
Whew.
That was unexpected
Yeah, yeah. I
for
didn't.
me.
Yeah, she was a mess. She was a total mess.
You
I
know,
mean,
cutting is still prevalent in high school girls, unfortunately, and some guys. And they wear bracelets to cover it up or long sleeves. Right
Oh,
to the extent that they're talking about. I really haven't looked into it much, but I don't know if they're more self-harm than they are killing other people. So there were other issues besides that.
yeah. Well, yes, this sense that they deserve to be punished, that they feel that they're not worthy, which is, I got a little confused in the story for a little bit, but then I realized um, the main character's father was not her father. He was her stepfather. So
right,
the brother and sister were abandoned by their father, right? And
right.
uh, now the brother, whose name I don't remember, the stepbrother,
Jamie?
yeah,
Oh,
I was suspicious of him, right? From the in the beginning.
Yeah,
I
me
felt
too.
like he was painting because, and he was a mess too, right? He's just gambling
Oh,
away all the money.
Yeah,
No matter how many times he got bailed out, he went right back and did it again. Um And then and then the night of the fire, when the vines got burnt, I really thought he did it. And then we find out it wasn't him at all. So many characters
Yeah.
who there were a lot of characters, but he really wove this tale so tightly that you went along with him uh even when you weren't sure. But then when the truth comes out, it's like, whoa. And so his friend, I thought, well,
Danny's death. You talking about
yeah,
Danny?
Yeah.
that I thought that was one of the most horrendous
Yes.
episodes in where he discovered the body.
Oh.
And
Really
then
hard.
and then of course you've got the policeman, right?
Oh.
Who is kind of like hell bent on finding a reason to throw this kid back in jail,
Right.
Yeah.
It's mean. Oh,
right?
so mean.
What'd you think of the police character, Darlene?
It's hard to say. I mean, the orders were definitely not correct. You never want to single somebody out just because
Yeah.
they did something prior, unless it's related or
Yeah.
so. I
Well,
thought he was a bit harsh.
This is small town, first
yeah.
of all, right? But also, I mean, they felt that he was guilty and got away with it because he was a rich man's son, which,
Yeah.
you know, he just hated him for so while you would hope that but I could understand why the police were so willing to believe the worst of him. In fact, I mean, what could be worse but finding yourself in exactly the same situation all over again, where you're going to be accused of something you did not do? Um, what other characters do we
Well,
have?
what about the father?
Oh yeah. Oh
The real
yeah.
father?
Yeah, what about the father?
I thought he was a weenie because, he believed, because he just went along with his wife, and that was his son. And he spent so much time with them. I don't know. I'd have to second guess that. I didn't like that.
Well, yeah, it's hard to believe that the father would side with his wife against his own son.
Right. Now, it wasn't even the child's mother or the kid.
But the inciting incident, let's think about what really was the inciting incident for everything that took place after it. The father had an affair, right?
Oh, that's right. I'm
The
forgetting.
father had the affair with the hippie woman
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and knew
He
that
was
that girl was his daughter, set her up. And it's kind of like it goes back to the old thing, the truth will set you free, right? Like here, he never it and it was something I don't know even at the end if he embraced his responsibility for everything that went wrong everywhere with everyone.
Mhm.
Because not Grace,
The
the
other daughter.
the other daughter
Yeah.
was cutting herself because she knew he loved Grace better than her, and she was his stepdaughter, and her father had walked out on her.
Yeah.
So those are the things that scarred her.
that was Miriam.
Miriam.
Okay, Miriam.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And so the father's indiscretion was
It just was like a tidal force.
yeah, it's what it caused everything after that to happen. And it kind of reminds me of that. I think it was a James Taylor song that I remember where it says, you know, what are you so upset about? I just told you I loved you. It was a lie. What's the big deal? But there are lies, and then telling someone you love them when they don't is like a whole other level of lie, right? So, this was a discretion, or an indiscretion.
The most honorable character evidently was Dolph, the
Yeah.
father's friend who died.
Right.
And he seemed to be more honorable and than any of them.
Yeah.
He had some morals somewhere. He had a compass somewhere.
He
But
was
the other one
loyal.
seemed
He was loyal to a fault,
mhm.
and he raised that girl like his own. And both the son and Grace loved him,
Right.
because
Well,
part of
he
what
died. He was going to go to. He said he was the one who did the murder, so he would take the blame, knowing he was going to die. It was sort of like they call it it's like Gran Torino with him with what's his face, Clint
Yes.
Eastwood,
Oh,
taking the bullet. It's
oh,
sort of a
Gran
Jesus figure, is
Torino.
what they call it. Gran
Gran
Torino.
Torino.
What did I
Yeah.
say?
Gran
Torano?
Torino.
Well,
Right.
I
Yeah,
knew what
well,
you meant.
that's the way
Right.
I
my
knew
brain
it.
is going today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a similarity to me in those stories, in those two stories.
you're right. I mean, he really was the best of everyone. Although this main character, Adam, he, I mean, he was pretty honorable too, right?
He was a good friend, I thought.
He, well, also, the father was willing to let Dolph hang for the
Right.
crime. Um,
I didn't like him.
right? And but it was Adam who wasn't going to let this go, no matter what anybody said to him. So you got to give him credit for that. Yeah, he stood up for him. He went to bat. He was going to find out the truth. Yeah, he was the one that was determined to find the truth. So now let's talk about Adam's love relationship. Do you think that relationship is going to last after all it's been through?
I don't think so. I was wondering, how are these people supposed to go on with a somewhat normal life after all this? I mean, in reality, I don't think it's gonna, there's too much stuff like
Well,
garbage.
I think it would be too hard for Robin to adjust to the city because
Oh, yeah,
he couldn't live in the town. He
good
was
point.
definitely leaving.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
whether or not she'd be able to make her way in the city, I think would be a problem for her,
And
for them.
I didn't like the fact that he compromised her so much in the relationship. Let's give her up, sacrifice her.
yeah,
What she's doing doesn't matter.
yeah. Or he wasn't always honest with her
Right.
either, when he was doing all the things that he was doing, or uh, he would be functioning on information uh, uh, that she provided him at great personal risk to herself and her career.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another
I
thing.
wanted her to wake up and get a backbone.
Yeah.
So I wonder if is there a sequel to this for the same story?
I'll
At
be
least the
honest,
main character?
I don't know. I don't know if there is. But yeah, I don't I didn't feel like they were gonna too much water under the dam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to go back, pick up pieces after something like that.
Yeah, especially since, and you could see why she was in the beginning, you understood her perfectly. I mean, he left her. And then when she finds out that he sent letters to Grace, but never bothered to send her, gee, I'm sorry, but I couldn't stay there letter.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
For whatever reason he had for doing that, that was maybe in his mind a noble reason. Um,
You always said actions speak louder than words.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. And
yeah,
I thought that he treated her like a convenience. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like she was there, she could provide him um information and sex, but I don't know. I just didn't feel that it was an honest relationship between him, especially on his side.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I kind of, I have to agree. I feel the same way. Um, but yeah, it's been it it was a marvelous read, and yeah,
No,
it was a longer book than some that we have been reading recently, but
right.
I did find
Me too.
once I reached a certain point, I couldn't stop. I just could not stop. I had to know how this was going to turn out. Uh, but yeah, I'd say it's a pretty perfect novel in my opinion in terms of the mystery, no loose ends at the end, right? Everything's tied up at the end. You
Right.
know everything, you know everybody's motives, and that was an awful lot to build that plot. I feel it was like really amazing, but it definitely is in my opinion in the true tradition of a Southern novel, right?
Mm, right.
Family saga, the small town, everything's interwoven, and like the overwhelming secrets that the family that become revealed in the story. So that is
Well, I have a couple of things that I think the author, you could tell he was a man who wrote this. On the bottom of page 195, Robin is talking, and she says, "Oh wait a minute,
But you read it, mine's
oh
on
boy, let me
okay.
see. How's she doing?" I asked, and she screams in her sleep, "How about Dad? He's like a woman." I didn't know what to say to that. Look at him. I'm sorry that we haven't talked much. I just wanted to be. Well, women wouldn't say about a man, he's just like a woman, I don't think. I think they might say he's weak, or men would say he's like a woman,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
but
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
woman
yeah.
wouldn't
You're
use
right.
that put down. I don't think. I think that, and that's just a little thing. There was
Yeah,
another
yeah, yeah. No, yeah,
that Robin said she
good
kind of
catch.
made light of the fact that Grace said she was raped, and female police officer. Well, maybe you know this, Darlene, better than I, obviously, but I don't think a female police officer would make light of a young girl who was raped. I don't think she'd make a throwaway comment like that. But
I thought
I
you,
can't find where it is right now. But it struck me that something like, well, there are worse things, or something to that effect, kind of a throw off.
Yeah.
And I said a woman wouldn't do that.
I
A
agree.
woman wouldn't say that. A
It's
man shouldn't say that either.
they
Especially when
shouldn't.
you see these crimes up front and personal, is they're very difficult to handle. Your heart always goes out to the victim. And for her to say that would be out of character, not
Yeah.
just as a woman, but also as a police officer.
And then
Um,
she was blaming Adam for who she became. I just wanted to say, hey, lady, you're not that needy. You are a professional person. You have stepped up to the cause here, and you're blaming Robin. I mean, Robin is blaming Adam. So I don't know. I just thought Robin could have been a little stronger character in some ways. However, that doesn't mean that I didn't like this book. Don't get that.
Yeah.
Don't take me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah.
I love this
You
book.
just had those few catches. That's interesting because Robin, what has it been? 6 years when the book starts. It's been like 6 years, right? Since
Right.
he
Six,
left.
yeah, 6 or 7.
In 6 years, she hasn't moved on, but
Oh,
she was so scarred by his deserting her and just walking away and never trying to contact her or never saying goodbye to her. She kind of just pushed that all down and became, a very good police officer because she
Put her
was,
energy there.
yeah. And um, I can believe that a woman might do that, but yeah, the insensitivity to another woman's rape you're right.
yeah,
That's not that is would be a I would think that to be more atypical. But yeah, interesting.
I
Interesting.
I thought the book was good, but the criticism I had, he must have used studied at least 25 times in the
S-
beginning of the book. He
Study?
studied this guy, he studied that guy, he
Oh.
studied the face.
oh,
That
Oh,
tells
that's
You
funny.
you,
I didn't
picked up
notice
on
that.
that.
I didn't even
Just
see that.
Yeah.
oh,
didn't even notice that.
oh
Good
yeah.
for you for noticing that.
It was
Huh.
very repetitive, but the descriptions were amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not only to the environment, but also to the feelings of the people themselves and their body images, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
He did put you in the scene, truly.
Yeah, and that I think that's another element of the Southern novel, a greater connection to the physical environment, the natural environment, that because people grew up uh, outside a lot, the fishing, like in that first scene when he returns, he knows when he sees the milk jugs out hung by the tree that the boy's fishing, right?
Right.
And it was, yeah, it it was I really enjoyed this novel. Well, we haven't heard from our moderator. I hope she's okay. But I will tell you, does anybody have anything more they'd like to add about this book before I tell you about what's coming next month? No? Okay. Next month, we are reading a book called She Knew Too Much. And as soon as my website is up and running, I will be sending out an email. So hopefully before the end of this week, the email, well, you know what? Before the end of this week, I will send the email out no matter
Okay.
what. The author is Victoria Weisfeld, Weisfeld. And Victoria, I know from back in New Jersey, we had participated together in a writing class in Princeton. And she also is a member of the Public Safety Writers Association. And the book She Knew Too Much is set in Italy. Okay, so we have a young woman who's the main character who I forget because I read this book before publication to write a little review for her. And I forget the girl's uh, uh, profession, but she travels and she's in Italy and she gets involved in I'll call it a brouhaha. Okay.
Wow.
It's a good book. And then Victoria is going to also moderate June. And the book in June is called oh gosh, it was in my head just a moment ago. I was so proud of myself that I remembered it, and now it's gone. Oh, the final episode, and I believe the author's name is Lori Day, Loriday, the final episode, and it's a thriller. And I haven't read it yet, but the description sounds like something that we will all enjoy. So that is what's coming up next. So, anything else, ladies, before we sign off? Okay, so I'm going shut off our recording.